So, learn from a master. Take it away.
Always a beginner as well, and it's such a joy to be here with all of you. Beginning more, again, always learning and growing. So thank you all. Thank you, Sean, and thank you, Redwood Energy crew, for this incredible event. All my future conferences are ruined after this one. So I'm Cooper. I'm born and raised in San Francisco. I'm a child of hippies. My mom was a busy professor at UC Berkeley. She launched a field, social factors in environmental design, how people experience the built environment. And my dad, also in that space, they met at college, you know, the whole professor-student thing, not so good anymore, but I guess it was okay in the 60s. He also discovered he was gay, but luckily I got to be born first, and my sister. And he died of AIDS early in the pandemic, in 1989, when I was in high school. The last pandemic, the other pandemic. And I think it really gave me a bit of a perspective on the power of community in crisis, on the power of activism and individual action to motivate more collective benefit. Somehow also I got the entrepreneurial bug and have just been starting businesses and helping other businesses grow ever since. I did my undergraduate at UC Santa Cruz. I focused on the intersection of technology and cities. What was it going to produce in the future? It's good. If you have kids going to college, encourage them to study the future, because it hasn't happened yet, so they can't be wrong, right? It's like, I did a graduate degree, an MBA, business degree, at the Kellogg School of Management, which is known for its marketing, and I was really interested in technology and startups. And then came on back to San Francisco, where I'd been raised, and had lots of jobs, lots of different jobs. When I've had to interview for jobs, which thankfully doesn't happen that often, I have to explain why there's so many jobs in my past. Everything from drip irrigation to swinging a hammer as a general contractor, which is a great experience for all of you. Any of you, go get on a roof or in a garage, maybe with Sunwork in the Bay Area or whoever you can find. Turn a wrench, swing a hammer, right? We'll come back to that in a moment. I sold salad dressing. I founded a co-op bookstore. I worked on wireless sensor networks. I worked in some high-growth tech companies. And most recently, I was at PG&E. I knew nothing about utilities or data science, and I was very lucky to be in the right place at the right time to lead a team building a machine learning long-term risk prediction model that's now used as the primary tool for allocating $1 billion a year in tree trimming and system hardening and undergrounding. So if you want to talk about wildfire risk and utility investments in that, we talk about that later. It was totally intriguing, super educational, and also eventually very motivational to get the hell out of there and go work on something smaller that could move faster, that was more attending to avoiding the worst of the climate crisis rather than like assuming it's going to happen, the wildfire's going to get bad, so we need to prepare the wires for the wildfires. I learned about that time that natural gas, it's not so natural. That's just marketing, remember from the MBA? It really worked though, right? Like a lot of people still think that, really good marketing. I was developing plans for remodeling my Victorian home in San Francisco and thought, oh, we should do this electric thing. I hear that's a thing. But I had to pay thousands of dollars to a consultant, to an expert, to come up just with the plan. No heat pumps, nothing actually happened, just a plan for things to happen. And that was the proverbial, literal light bulb moment, electrical. These plans, these assistants, this way of navigating our journey off of fossil fuels, it needed to be free and accessible much more widely than to folks who are remodeling, which is a tiny fraction, and have the wherewithal to pay for an extra plan to do things differently than the normal. So that brings us to what we're talking about today, the retrofit of gas appliances to electric in owner-occupied homes. So we're not multifamily, we're not commercial, we're not new construction. Mostly we're talking about single family, but also condos, townhomes, ADUs, things that are owned by the people that live in them. We're talking mostly about heat pumps, water heaters, cooking, clothes drying, but also solar batteries, charging, insulation, envelope, and for all income levels. The content we're covering today is not for folks with means. It is for everybody. So what is it? Well, it's about this. It's about every year, homeowners across America spend over $60 billion buying new gas appliances to replace old ones. $60 billion is a lot of spending a lot of individual choices, producing a lot of sort of downstream, upstream, whatever actions. We have an opportunity to shift that spending to buy electric appliances. Something like $1 trillion will be spent by homeowners as they move their homes off of gas. So today we're talking about how to get them to spend their $1 trillion in the right way, in the way that's good for the future of, humanity, our communities, our kids. So maybe QuitCarbon is one of the right ways. And we'll talk a little bit about QuitCarbon, but in general, we're talking about concierge services. Services, programs, things that exist to facilitate the shift of homeowners and their appliances to being more electric, more climate friendly, less gas friendly. The way we do it is we assess the home with software and interviews. We generate optimized roadmaps and plans, and then we help people follow those plans to upgrade their appliances. Concierge services are different, new, have evolved. So we'll talk about sort of what they are, how they work a bit here. And my intention is that you come away maybe inspired, educated to either use a service or partner with a service or support even the concept of services like these, because they are kind of different. Now, we've developed skill in helping over 5,000 families. I think that's actually getting now closer to 7,000, even though I just updated this document. Thank you for scrolling. We'll go to the next one. Along the way, we've won a couple of awards, including Energy Star certification. We helped the EPA develop the Energy Star certification program for concierges, and then we were lucky enough to be awarded that. Also became certified B Corp. QuitCarbon is a for-profit company. We get mistaken for a nonprofit a lot, and having started nonprofits and for-profits myself, I'm a real student of the way capitalism can help or hurt transitions, progress in society. And this time around, I was really convinced that for-profit, but conscious in a way that can be demonstrated, was the right format. There are lots of formats, though. Along the way, our homeowners have told us they love us. An NPS score. Who knows what an NPS score is? NPS score, a standardized way of understanding whether people like a thing, a service, a product. NPS, you can compare apples to apples across companies. 68 is pretty good, and contractors, who are also our customers, give us an even higher score. We serve both. So what does a concierge do? Well, we want there to be these retrofits in owner-occupied homes. And really, what does that mean? Turn to the person across the table from you, shake their hand, let's see it, do it right now, shake their hand and shout out, yes, 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 yes. All right, you just bought a heat pump, you just sold her a heat pump, you just bought a heat pump water heater, you bought an EV charger, you each just told a contractor yes. Decarbonization is homeowners telling contractors yes, millions of times. How are we going to get off gas? With a lot of what just happened here. But for real, you need to get your checkbooks out for the next one. We want to do this sooner than the appliance failure. We're not waiting for end of life. End of life is too complicated and tricky to decarbonize efficiently, effectively, and also, burning gas that whole time while you're waiting for end of life to arrive. We want this to be widespread. Concierge services should facilitate decarbonization everywhere, lots of folks, all at once, not just very small quantities or in small areas. And the benefits should accrue to contractors other than the most large and sophisticated ones. Contractors are the people you just bought your heat pumps from, right? But there's a lot of contractors who don't yet feel comfortable, skilled with installing those machines. And if they stay that way, we will stay on gas. So concierge services must raise the tide that lifts all the contractor boats if we are to expect us to actually transition our society off of gas. Homeowners are going to be living well electrically as they do this. Sean, you bought the marketing material from decades ago, which also said you should live well electrically. Well, hey, what's old is new again. You could do it again. And ultimately, what we really want are positive stories. We heard about 9 out of 10 homeowners, Becky, loving their heat pumps. Those positive stories get the flywheel accelerating and going. If you do the transition right, you get positive stories. If you don't get as many, right? People saying, I don't really like, I had to throw out my pots, right? Positive stories cause more of it to happen in a way that's efficient and effective. So what's a concierge do? Well, sometimes I call it a one-stop shop, a coach, or an advisor. My definition of it is that it's going to include assessment, planning, assistance with contractors, reviewing bids as a third party, giving you that kind of second opinion, hand-holding the homeowner, also the contractor too. I'm pretty sure a concierge must have software. Right? When I was thinking about what's in and what's out of the definition, I think a pure expert working on a pad of paper can't quite qualify because they can't scale. And we need this to be widespread. We need the benefits to accrue to many homes, many companies. So I think we have to have software. It must be free to the homeowner. There are other ways of doing this where homeowners pay, and we'll talk about some of those in a second. But I'm pretty sure it needs to be free, which means it's volunteer, or it's paid for by the government, or it's paid for by the utility, or it's paid for by the contractor, or it's paid for by the manufacturer. Lots of different entities could pay, but I'm pretty sure the homeowner should not. So what is not a concierge? What's in and out of this Venn diagram? So general or trade contractors, they can't also be concierges. They're selling and installing the heat pump. You want your advisory services from somebody who's not selling you the thing. Energy auditors are a very valuable skill set. They charge you to analyze your home. There should be more of them, but they are also not concierges. They have a different focus. The do-it-for-you programs, direct install. We heard about equitable building decarb. Super exciting. There's other programs like that. Personally, I don't count them as concierges because they kind of take care of everything for you. You don't have to be explained or convinced of so much because it's just done for you. So I don't quite count them as concierge. And then I also don't think a concierge is pure software. So there must be humans and software working together. Pure software is like shopping for an airline ticket on Google Flights. We're all comfortable with that. Pretty much none of us use a travel agent anymore. We used to use travel agents, and the world evolved to being comfortable with making purchases, to go in a metal tube and fly across the globe without a human. This world of getting your home off of gas, I think it needs the human for quite a while, for many, many years to come. And part of why we think that is that in the solar industry, which has preceded the decarbonization industry, very few people buy solar without talking to a human. There's always a human. There's too much money and too much uncertainty to expect software to do it all. So why do we do this? The fundamental reason for concierge to exist is to bridge trust gaps. The market as it exists today, without concierges, has big yawning chasms of risk and uncertainty that keep people from getting off of gas. So homeowners, they don't trust contractors, right? We know all the stories why. Homeowners don't trust the equipment, maybe. The homeowners don't trust the incentives. Am I going to get them? The contractors aren't sure about the incentives. That's complicated and weird. Maybe the homeowner doesn't trust the utility. Utility's bringing them an offer like, there's a trust issue there. Of course, the homeowner, am I choosing the right contractor? Is this the right scope? Am I getting the right incentives? And the contractor, too, faces uncertainty and trust. Is this a good customer? Should I try to sell them a heat pump, or am I just going to spin my wheels, cost myself a lot of money, and get nothing out of it? So we're bridging the gaps. How do we do it? How are we going to pay for this? This is another problem concierges can help solve. By organizing bids and rebates and helping people understand what it really costs, by clarifying utility bill impacts, by characterizing costs in a bigger perspective next month or next year, though that can vary by the buyer. For some buyers, next month is super important. For others, it's the wrong thing, and they're happy to think about total cost of ownership. And then highlighting the non-economic benefits. Your home is more comfortable, it's safer, it's more valuable, it's good for the damn planet. For some people, that's a big deal. So how do we do this? Well, one way is by optimizing the timing. Accelerate or slow upgrades. The concierge can tell a homeowner, hey, move quickly, capture incentive, or slow down. There's a better opportunity in the future. Can you imagine a contractor saying, hey, don't buy from me now. I want you to buy 6 months from now. They will never say that. It's not in their interest, and that's okay. That's okay. Avoiding those emergency replacements as well, right? When somebody has an old appliance, a concierge can encourage them to do it now. And bridging the gap in financing between spending the money and getting the money. Arranging for bridge financing or helping people understand, yes, you're getting rebates, but no, not for 9 months. Oh. New technology. How about new heat pumps? This can be sometimes a doubt. Homeowners are like, I've heard there's a new thing coming, so I won't buy something now. Maybe the something now is perfectly good, and they should get it, and maybe they should wait. It depends on each of the homes. Plus, of course, like what even is a heat pump, right? People don't want to buy stuff they don't understand. The scope of work, is it the right scope for this home at this time? Could there be a different scope? Maybe even at the expense of the contractor. A smaller scope, the contractor generally wants to sell you more. Or how about a bigger scope? You were thinking heat pump water heater, but hey, if you get a harvest thermal system that replaces your heat pump as well, now it's cheaper because of an unusual combination of rebates. That sort of sophisticated analysis is not in the general scope for contractors, and probably shouldn't be. We mostly, I think, want contractors turning wrenches, getting the yes and putting in the machine. Of course, the watt diet and power efficient design is a difficult sets of topics for contractors to ingest. And do you need 200 amps? No. But if you call an electrician, the answer is usually yes, which is unfortunate. The referrals, the connections between homeowners and contractors. Homeowners are stuck with pretty unsophisticated tools for meeting contractors. Ask a neighbor or look on Yelp. But what about the skill, what's needed in the home, even just the vibe? Concierge services can find better matches that are more likely to result in that yes that we're trying to get to. Maybe lower prices from contractors eventually because it reduces their cost of sale. Contractors are small businesses struggling to make payroll, and one way that their costs go up is with lots of homeowners getting bids that they don't accept. That is a cost of business for a contractor that they have to be very careful with. Concierges can reduce those unsuccessful sales efforts that are costly, and also hopefully get contractors just being more electric friendly. They're very gas friendly. They know gas, the risks are low, the awareness is high, they can sell it, they profitably. We need them to be heat pump friendly, and so we give them a hand. Bid benchmarking is a really important benefit of a third party. Is the price fair? The way people used to do this was they go get a bunch of bids. Well, that's expensive for contractors and also doesn't really discover things, especially in the heat pump world. Who's gotten a bunch of bids for heat pump and discovered they're all really different? Right? So what did you discover? You discovered like you now know less than when you started, not more, but you also cost the industry and you raise prices for everybody. Let's try to have a different opportunity there. And then this expansion thing, I mean, often people think they want to spend the least, but that's not how we behave in a lot of aspects of life. Or we don't spend the least on our clothes, we probably don't spend the least on our cars or travel or lots of things. How about encouraging folks to maybe spend a little more on their homes and their systems for all the benefits beyond just not having a cold shower? Stacking up rebates and figuring out income qualification before people run the gauntlet of submitting a ton of paperwork is a huge value add. Another place where it's very difficult for contractors to navigate all of the quick changing complexity. This is in, this is out, townhomes not, money going up and down, and adjusting the scope of work to capture more rebates. Buy more, buy less, buy different, so that it's much cheaper because of current rebate rules, something a concierge can do that's difficult for a contractor or a homeowner. Even just the confidence boosting, right? Like a lot of people say, this sounds too good to be true. I'm gonna get 25 grand back. Maybe I'm just not gonna buy anything because I can't believe that. When somebody more trustworthy who's not selling them something, like a concierge, gives them confidence that, yeah, you're gonna get 25 grand, it helps them say yes. And then the waiting, pre-public, we'll skip past that one. Oh. Endless service is another aspect, I think, of good concierge programs. Contractors should be in and out. Put in the machine, make sure it works well, see you later, do the next machine. But homeowners have endless energy needs. Am I on the right rate plan? And what about this new offer? And how about can I sign up for demand response? And how's that going to affect my thermostat? And then eventually that appliance that was new is now old and has failed. So there's an endless need for service that's better provided, I think, by concierge than by contractors. Contractors benefit too here. They get leads that are more qualified, homeowners that cost less to sell to, which is great for the industry, for their businesses. They don't make extra carbon driving their trucks around to people that don't buy. They have lower cost of sales, which is good for everybody. They're more likely to buy electric, right? When there's some support in the sales process, that contractor is more likely to successfully sell an electric solution than a gas one. And they just have a higher confidence that the future is electric. We need these stories being told between contractors as well, where they talk to each other and say, my business is becoming more about the future, about the electric future than the gas past. Other contractors hear that and change their businesses. Now, there's a few ways that concierge programs don't help in certain program designs. Some concierge services have one or two contractors only. That fails to rise the tide to lift all the contractor boats, and instead it concentrates the benefits of experience in one or two contractors that are typically already very experienced. And now you have this bifurcation of the market where there's a couple contractors who are great at heat pumps, and the rest of them have not been supported by the program to become at least good at heat pumps, which is something we would prefer. Those contractors that fail to benefit from these sorts of programs are most typically the smallest, most local, more likely to be minority owned, more likely to be centered in their communities. Exactly the equitable outcomes we would prefer is to lift them up. On-bill financing, some of the programs, I love the concept. I want there to be more of it, but some of the ways it's approached, again, pick winners. You can't pick your contractor. One contractor benefits from this new financing. I hope that's a temporary thing, right? Some concierge type services will vet a contractor up front, but then that's it. Contractors are running small businesses that evolve, and sometimes they were really good when they were vetted, and now their service is not so good, or maybe you call them off the heat pump directory and they try to sell you a gas thing. Well, maybe some services encourage too much shopping. We talked about how shopping is expensive. Shopping around raises prices for everybody. If there's too much shopping, that effect is magnified. So there's perhaps better ways, especially given that shopping around, we heard, you got more confused, not less, right, when you shopped around. Not all concierges are, well, we'll skip past the non-public information thing. And then I guess maybe some concierge programs have a challenge with too much reliance on humans and too little reliance on software. Software is really good at figuring out the complexity and supporting humans operating optimally. This is the right information. This is correct for your home. Yes, we told somebody different last week. Now things have changed, and the computer is supporting my decision making and my guidance to you, homeowner, and you, contractor. So I have a few calls to action to end, because marketing, we need our CTAs at the end, right? What are our CTAs? Calls to action. Well, I hope that you choose to make somehow, in some way, concierge-type services part of our glorious electric future. Maybe you'll get to know us. Try us out. By the way, the rebates right now are insane for everybody. Doesn't matter how much money you make. If you own your home right now in California, there is so much free money on offer, and I would hate for you to miss it. So we'd love to help you get the free money. Maybe you'd like to come partner with us. Let's do some marketing together. We could do bigger collaborations. We love going in on grants, proposals. And bonus, we're hiring. So if you want to come do this with us for homeowners across California and eventually, I don't know, the planet, drop us a line. We'd love a hand. You can reach me and all of us at hello@QuitCarbon. So thank you all. Do we have time for questions?
Can I organize it? Okay, Tanisha, and then Greg, and then Avide, then we're going to go. So,
thank you. So I wrote it down, so I want to pay attention to that interrupt. So first, can you mind saying what does the qualifications or the training to be the concierge? Where to be in it, and then.
Who knows? There is no particular standard there's no standard out there. So currently, the answer is anybody can be a concierge if they say they're a concierge. Right, right.
And then, so then the next was kind of following that is, what are the action or activities that are happening after thinking of the training, or when should be kind of to stay updated on with like the current policies, how things are changing, especially with electricity. I'm hearing how it's evolving so quickly.
Yeah.
So how do you stay making sure that you're engaged into what's current to be able to give the right
great question. Mostly through software. So to have a bunch of humans, each attending the webinars, reading the slide decks, watching the newsletters, doing all of that is too much to ask. Instead, the way we do it, and others might as well, is that the software provides the state-of-the-art understanding. The software is maintained by a human, but we have a human who's a specialist in incentives. When there's a change in an incentive program, they enter it into the software, and now all of our coaches, the next time they look at a house for which that incentive might apply, will see different information. And they'll see, oh, look, my clever computer assistant is now telling me, look, there's $3,000 more than there was last week. How about that, homeowner? How about a heat pump? So that's how we do it.
Thank you.
Greg and Abide, Spencer.
What can we do specifically to help you expand your territory, since I know you want to, but maybe are prohibited?
Yeah, so thank you. The question is, what can we do to expand QuitCarbon's territory or concierge in general? The number one challenge for expansion is homeowner awareness and intent. Homeowners don't know that a concierge exists. They think that the way they get a heat pump is they call a contractor. When a concierge exists in a place, the number one challenge is marketing, awareness generating among homeowners. And the number one way to solve that is with trusted communicators, partnerships, go-to-market activities where maybe there's co-branded. So we have a program in Palo Alto where we co-brand with the city and go to homeowners in Palo Alto. Because there's a little trust, like people in Palo Alto actually trust their government, then we get a little bit of a leg in, right? The other way is put us in the newsletter, put us on the website, put us in the tweets. Those help a lot. But homeowner awareness is the number one challenge to the growth of concierge benefits and services.
I have a follow-up
Please.
question to that. Yeah, you said you've helped 5,000 something homeowners so far. My question is, how are those homeowners finding you? And two, how are you getting paid? It's still not clear to me. You hinted at a couple of opportunities,
Yeah.
but like
How do we get paid, or
like,
how do concierge get paid in general?
yeah, I'm guessing you as a concierge, how are you getting paid
Sure.
to do this?
So how do people find us? All the ways you could imagine. We're on the websites, we're on the social media, we're word of mouth. They find us lots of ways.
Okay.
And there is no one way we found that people find us mostly. So it's diverse.
And these are people who already know they want to go all electric.
No,
No.
these are people who something about our messaging catches their eye. Maybe they have a cold shower and they heard about a heat pump, but like the first plumber they called said, no, gas. And so they did a little Googling. Maybe they're like, I'm all in on climate and I need to get off the gas. Maybe they have high bills. We see a whole variety of motivations. So to Greg's question, how do we get more expansion? Somehow we have to sort of reach everybody all at once. You know, there's some businesses that can like go after a particular segment and all the people in that segment all want the same thing. You give them the same message. This ain't one of those. This is one where lots of people want lots of different things. And then our business model, we make money from lots of places. We don't charge homeowners, but we make money from, we have a California Energy Commission grant. We've got a little bit of money from DOE, utilities, cities, contractors pay us. There's a whole sort of mix of revenue streams. But as I mentioned, like, I don't really think concierge should charge homeowners, so we don't. More questions?
So it's Spencer next.
Spencer.
Great presentation, and I would recommend you. They have an amazing tool that you put in a little bit of data and you get a really comprehensive report. I think I found it before I even met Cooper. It's very, very useful, and homeowners, I'm sure, find it are going to want to get more information about their own homes. So it's very, very good start to engage with their organization. Great presentation. As
Thank you.
always.
Thank you.
I was pretty amazed by your 90% NPS for contractors. That's a huge accomplishment.
And that includes, just so we're clear, not just beginner contractors. Some of the most advanced home electrification contractors in the industry, the ones you've heard of when you think, who are the best home electrification contractors? They are our paying customers. They pay us. So there's no truth to this idea that, well, once you've figured it out as a contractor, you no longer need help in this world. This world is going to need human help from concierge type services, I think, maybe indefinitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing stat for people who don't know NPS. 90 is a 99.
Thanks.
In percentage. I'm wondering, one of the complaints or concerns I've heard from contractors when they interact with a third party is, they kind of put ideas in the customer's head that don't necessarily align with the contractor's
Yes.
sales process.
Yes.
They, maybe create price expectations that don't align with the contractor's profitability goals. They muck up the process in some way, and you've obviously been able to avoid that. Can you share any insights on how you were able to accomplish such?
God, so much listening. What was the advice before about the listening, right? I mean, we spent years not doing it right. And hearing from contractors about what didn't work and what help they actually needed and what parts of what we were doing were helpful and harmful. Now, to be fair, we're not entirely aligned with their interests, right? Sometimes we get homeowners to buy less. Sometimes we get homeowners to choose a different contractor that sells them a heat pump. We have to be okay with that little bit of conflict. Nothing in life is truly, like, precisely always 100% aligned. But we reduce it enough, the conflict part, and align it enough on the positive parts that we result in getting a lot of happiness from contractors.
Nick, and then Juliet, do you have any of those?
Yeah.
Sure.
Good, Nick.
Yeah. Do you see this like going into like a multifamily area as well?
Oh, multifamily. Andy, where's Andy? Thank God Andy's here. I mean, Andy, you're a multifamily concierge.
Yeah, it's true.
And you're a general contractor. So, and so is Nick. Okay, so no. The short answer is no. The core reason is money. Homeowners don't want to pay for concierge, and I don't think they ever really will. They never paid travel agents. They mostly never paid real estate agents unless you're a seller, right? Buyers don't pay real estate agents. Homeowner behavior and psychology does not align with concierges charging homeowners money. Multifamily owners are businesses. They're in it for the bucks. And if you can show the multifamily owner, look, I'm going to stack up rebates and get heat pumps and you're going to end off better financially, like, I'm in. And even if you charge them for that, that's fine. They expect to pay for things like that. So because of those differing expectations, that differing history of buyer behavior, they're running businesses, homeowners are not. That means that I don't think this type of model described here would not work in multifamily. Also complexity, holy cow, I don't know how you all do it. I'm glad you get paid to do it because it's way more complex. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to add that a lot of multifamily incentive programs come with technical assistance that has, it aligns a lot with this sort of concierge service.
So there are concierges,
Yeah.
and they are paid by the programs.
Yeah.
Oh, terrific. All right, well, there we go. I gave you the wrong answer. That's the right answer.
For profit.
And they're for profit.
Yes,
Yeah, that's the right answer, not mine.
They were both right.
Anybody else? Yeah?
We should talk more offline. We haven't passed, but I just want to understand more, like, it seems kind of chicken and egg. You need to understand, whatever state or whatever their incentives exist, and the climate zone and characteristics. Like, it's devil's in the details in this stuff, right? But you can't just do it for like, oh, one person in Nevada wants a heat pump. Right?
No.
Right? So
No.
how do we get to like the things that you need to support a program to get the people that support the program?
Yeah, great question, right? There's the flywheel and the sort of base foundational systems and data and processes like all the rebates and the energy models and the what Spencer mentioned, you can come on the website and tell us about your home, and like that doesn't get built for free. In our case, the answer was we're a venture-backed for-profit company. The way we fix the chicken and the egg thing is with investor dollars. Investor dollars are an egg. Now the egg's mostly gone. I raised money from investors. It's mostly been spent building the platform that you heard about, but now that it exists, it can sustain much of its growth going forward. This is part of why volunteer and pure nonprofit approaches to this type of work, I think, are challenged, is because the upfront investment necessary may be really difficult for them to sustain to get to the point that you described, where you can like take on the next location. When we go to a new location, we don't have to build everything again. We need to put in some new rate plans and some new rebates and some new climate data, and then things just work, more or less, right? But for a new concierge to stand up in a new place, they may have a lot of sort of infrastructural foundation work to do. I guess that's the thing I didn't mention here, which is as a software company, as well as a services company, one other way to work with us is use the software. You don't have to take the service, you don't have to take the people. If you were setting up a tax preparation small business today, you would not go get a big pad of paper only. You would buy a computer and you would buy some tax software, and then you'd hang out your shingle our software is available for others to hang out their shingles to run concierge services for this very reason, that without the technology foundation, I think the rest of it just doesn't quite work.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah,
No, no,
John?
sorry, John, one more, go for it, John, sorry.
Maybe we can talk offline, but you've got all this experience, 5,000 homes you've looked at. I would be curious, Becky talked about the air district rules and changing the water heater. What, like, if you were to rewrite the rules, what flexibility measures would you write into those rules?
If I were king, if I were king, we would fix all of this with utility rates. Gas is too cheap and electricity is too expensive. People do crazy things and find insane motivation from saving a few bucks a month, but they can't mostly unless they're in SMUD, or we hear the averages, which aren't true for lots of homes. Like, if I were in charge, gas would be expensive, electricity would be cheap, and the whole world would be electrifying much more so because they didn't have to overcome that kind of spark gap, I've heard it called. That, maybe, yeah. I don't know if I have a more intelligent answer than that, or a more fanciful wish than, can somebody go manipulate utility rates so that gas is more expensive and electricity is cheap? But you're smart people. I bet someone's going to figure it out. Thank you.